Hello. Hi, I'm Apurva Desai. I'm here today with Sunitha Tati, a star producer from Guru Films, who has made several movies in India and now taking her business globally. And we'll talk more about her most recent one, Chennai Stories. I'm also here with Pratibha Jairath, who is a cultural ambassador with many organizations in Chicago, including the Federation of Indian Alliances, FIA. Sunita, let's start with you. Can you tell me more about your journey, how you got started, and where you plan to take this business from India to around the world?
Well, even though I am from India now, I started my journey in US. I went to NYU Film School and graduated as a PG in cinema and decided to go back to India at a time when the most of India was coming to the US. And that journey taught me so many things about India because so much of business in India was booming. I got to make 10 feature films. Then I felt, okay, now it's time to come back to where I started, which is US. And Chennai Story is the first step towards that. It's a feature out of south of India taking cinema to the world. So I'm quite excited about it. It's a story of a boy who comes to Chennai looking for his biological father and how he hires a local detective, and that detective is played by Shruti Hassan. So we are quite excited
Cool.
about that. And the movie will start shooting in March. Hopefully, we can all sit at the premiere by next year this time. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's very exciting. First of all, I like to see people from our country do different things than traditionally it used to be doctor, engineer, businessman, right? So this is, of course, in India, there's 100,000 movies being made in a year. But it's nice to see people here like you getting involved with it. And I did scan Chennai Story a little bit, and I was curious. I wanted to hear about it and how your journey started, how you went into films.
Good question, because I'm glad you mentioned that because the whole family is full of engineers and doctors.
See?
And when I told my dad I wanted to get into cinema, he said, I'll break your legs. You can't do this.
I believe it because especially daughters, right?
Yes.
That's our traditional
So,
families.
so he said, if I'm going to kind of pay for your school, it'll be something that will put food on the table, which is business school. So you can do business. Business is okay, but nothing to do with,
Believe me, I went through that whole thing.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure Apurva can completely connect to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I somehow convinced him. He saw me suffering, getting up on Monday morning, going to job, and he's like, "Okay, now see you're quite unhappy, and I don't want you to be. If you really think that you can make something out of yourself, give it a couple of years. Go to film school, study cinema." And that's what I did. I went
awesome.
to NYU.
Awesome.
I think that's what US somehow teaches you. It
Right.
gets your foundation right,
Right.
your work ethics right.
Right.
And so that kind of taught me.
And it teaches creativity,
Correct.
which is sometimes not possible in India, right?
Yeah.
So-
It just doesn't India somehow kind of puts you in a box.
In here, it's
Here
more
you
open.
feel like
I
very
feel the
liberated.
same way. I
Yeah.
feel exactly. Oh my God, I can connect with you.
Yeah. So that's what made me kind of go to NYU. And then I decided, okay, I asked a couple of filmmakers I know, what should I do? Which cinema should I make? Everybody said, you studied cinema, so why don't you go to Hollywood? And then some of the filmmakers said, why don't you make list of the top 5 films you like? And then decide where you want to go.
Wow. Yeah.
So I
that
did
was
that
your
little
taste.
math. All the top 5 films were Dilwale Dulhaniya. Kuch hota hai.
Romantic stories.
Then they said, I think you need to go back to India.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. So I'm here with Outland Media. My question: I was formerly the CFO of a video streaming company, View. You work with Netflix and Amazon and Hotstar. Can you talk a little bit about kind of that video streaming world and the OTT world and how working with them and releasing movies with them has been, and where do you see that going?
I think we forever made cinema over the last few decades only for what you call as box office. And box office is always driven by hero. The heroes of the cinema have driven.
Right.
But when you come to Netflix, the hero is the story. When you look at View, when you look at Netflix, when you look at Amazon, the story is given the importance. That's the reason I was talking to a lot of people this evening. And they were saying that the kind of cinema they saw in the last 5 years in OTT is far more identifiable for them. They kind of like this so-called this burst of new kind of storytelling coming. I think that's where the stories are changing, and stories are becoming more personal. They're
And they
becoming
take
more
a theme now.
identifiable.
There's not like typical story, poor boy
Poor boy
or
and the
problem
rich.
with
Yeah,
mother-in-law or something like that. Now what I notice is they pick a theme like US movies.
correct.
And personally, I'm more into the women's. Whenever, I think
It's
Prime has figured me
yeah,
out or Netflix has figured me out. They always say when the main person is a woman, right?
correct,
Because how she goes up.
correct.
So I'm so glad that things are changing.
See, it's very similar to what she said. When you are in India and you come to another country, there's a certain liberation you feel. I think
Yes.
stories are going through that. From being
Yes.
at box office, now coming on to the small screen, a private screen,
Right.
you'll be able to see stories that are far more personal, far more breakthrough, completely out of the box.
Right.
And that's what is exciting. We all like variety. We
Right.
like diversity. So that's the word right now.
So, Sunitha, one of the things that I always find quite impressive about your technique is you are taking stories from places around the world, Argentina, for example, Korea, for example, and making them into Telugu or other Indian language stories. Can you talk about that experience and process? And do you see yourself doing more of that, expanding into other countries, other languages, as you tell stories that are both for the India market and the global audience?
Yeah, as I was telling Pratibha, what I did from 2017 is I went and saw how can I tell different cinema, because it is something different we are trying to do, right? Something diverse. In India, forever you are telling cinema of a hero struggle, but we are not representing women, we are not representing about inclusivity, we are not representing so much of diversity. So I thought the best way to convince the box office is go to a country where they are making unique cinema and bring it to our country and make it more culturally relevant to us and make it. And that's what I have done with Miss
Yes,
Granny, a
nice.
Korean film, a story of a very old woman who struggled her life and magically gets transported to a younger life, and she's suddenly like 19, 20, but she has the wisdom of a 70-year-old. And how does she live her life? She becomes a musician, she becomes popular, and she wins many applauds, but then she still misses her family. And people started to realize that, oh my God, this story can be told.
Yeah.
And if you try to tell them, they won't believe it, but you do it and show it to them, they believe it. And I think when you bring that kind of diversity into storytelling, stories become global.
Yeah.
And my dream is to make a Indian cinema so the rest of the world also can get to see it and make it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll
Love
be
that.
really nice. Yeah, because to change the view, the way it's been, and Netflix and other video streaming devices are giving us opportunity to
Experience that.
experience our creativity.
Yeah.
And world is everything has become global, right?
Yeah.
Satellite and
we're a
everything. So
big
that's
global
why we can
village.
take
Yeah.
we can take the stories from different countries, because if you look at it, even the other countries, rather name any Korea or Mexico, their culture is also the way ours was 200
Yes.
years back. We are 200 years back from US culture. So what happens, our grandma, our work ethic, everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of similarity in other countries
Yeah.
and our country.
Yeah, very, very much. As a matter of fact, they say the emotional code
Yeah.
that Indian cinema holds is very similar to the Korean culture. Even some of the language and the words they use.
Yeah.
They call their mother Amma.
See?
They call their father Appa,
Yeah.
which is very Tamil
Yeah.
actually. And
Yeah.
then Spanish. Do you know that 1,300 syllables of Spanish are Tamil?
Wow.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
The
Yeah.
more you realize it, you realize that we are all connected
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, like
There
Thailand,
there
it's so
there
close to India,
Yeah.
right? A lot of similarities, cultural and
Yeah.
other stuff.
I think cinema does that. When I
Yes.
think that's one of the reasons stories with all the platforms, what they did very directly is to bring the world on one platform.
Yeah.
There was a time you were seeing something on the screen and you will say, "Oh, that's from my culture or my language." Now anybody can see the cinema on the big screen and say we all relate to it.
Yeah.
That's what Netflix did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did do a lot of stuff, because I love to watch award films, and they have figured me out what I like in those two topics. So I get all the foreign films, which I never used to spend time, because who's going to read the dubbing? But they're so good that you get into it, all
Yeah.
the Spanish, different languages.
That's what the Parasite director said when we got the Oscar.
Mhm.
He said, the world is away from you by just the 2 lines at the bottom called subtitles.
Wow,
right.
what a great line.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
And we're all now getting accustomed to those 2 lines,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
And exposing ourselves to a lot new
Yeah,
cinema.
and becoming more open-minded.
Yeah.
And I just want you to make one with the woman leading.
All my films have women lead.
Love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
That's,
You-
I'm
you'll,
waiting
you'll
for you
enjoy.
to see my
And
presentation
also-
because
and
it's all
also-
about women.
Yeah, because another thing changed. You have already noticed, even in Indian films, actually, because they're sometimes made for Netflix, right? It used to be they used to take 21-year-old girls, 40-year-old hero, right?
Mhm.
Always, right? Now they're taking mature couples everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Which used to be only in US before, because they believe that rickshawalas just want to say beauty.
Correct.
And that whole box office thing, right? It's made for those class of people who didn't have any other source of entertainment. So now the kind of movies that people are making, including you, are the intelligent people will also be, it'll stir something up, right?
That's the intent.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the goal.
Right,
Yeah.
because
To be
everybody's
able
getting
to-
smarter. Younger generation is very smart.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
all
yeah. And
ahead of
we're,
us.
we're in a world now
Yeah.
where the younger generation has grown up with that small screen being their primary screen.
Right.
Yeah.
And in India, they may not have had control over the
You're
remote.
right, you're
But
right.
now they
Now
get to
they have a
choose
control.
because they're used to watching on their phone,
Right.
watching on a small screen.
Right.
And this week, Apple released the Vision Plus glasses. Right,
Glasses,
soon they'll
yeah.
watch on their glasses. The world is moving
Yeah,
for
that's
younger
pretty good.
people in urban areas to watch on smaller devices.
One
right?
of the Hispanic directors had contacted me. He was for Public Channel, not Channel 11, another one. And he said, I said, sponsorship, or what are you looking for me? How do you know me? He says, I just want you to find some younger actors, Indian actors. I said, why? He says, you do a lot of talent shows, you do all kinds of stuff. I said, okay. So I said, why? He said on his own, he makes little scary type of films, Spanish films and English films. But he said that I noticed that Indians are watching my films. So now he took Indian story. It was so interesting. And they offered me role, but I had no time. And they took that story, and the 2 of my friends' kids are in the movies.
Oh, we'll watch that.
So yeah.
We should see. That's what.
Yeah, everything is coming
It's a global family.
closer now. Yeah.
Thank you, Sunitha. Thank you, Pratibha. Enjoyed that conversation. We're really excited about where the film industry going and making local become global for our audiences here in the U.S. as well as around the world.